And one final thing I'd like to talk about here is that director Ridley Scott has mentioned that one of his original ideas for Gladiator II was to begin the movie in the underworld. I've mentioned before on this channel that the film Gladiator is one of my favorite movies of all time, so when the sequel was announced, I'll admit that I was extremely skeptical at first, as I didn't think that the movie needed anything else to be added to it. It was just fine the way that it was. But as the trailer started to come out and I started to see more of what they were doing in the sequel, I became more intrigued of what it might be, so here is my review of 2024's Gladiator II. Having seen the movie, I can say that I'm happy that we do have it. Similar to how Blade Runner 2049 is with the original Blade Runner, you can watch Gladiator 2 without having seen the original film. And though it is technically a sequel, it also is able to be its own movie, so you don't have to see the original, but if you have watched the original, it will help you understand more of what's going on in this film. This movie, despite being 2.5 hours long, goes quite fast. One of my initial concerns after watching the trailers, especially the first trailer, was that it seemed like there would be so many characters and so many subplots that especially the middle hour, I was very afraid that it would be overcrowded and take way too long to get through. But I was wrong. This movie goes surprisingly fast. There are more characters and more arena fights, and I will talk about some of them. The opening battle scene I thought was really cool, as it tried to be, different from the original's opening battle scene. And this fight does involve ships, so we get to see these war machines that we hadn't seen in the original film. This movie does go for more spectacle than the original, as the technology available is better now than it was 25 years ago. And most of the time, the filmmakers were able to make this work, but there was one scene where I felt that they went a bit too far. Yeah, I'm talking about the scene from the trailer and in the movie where the Colosseum is flooded with the recreated ship battle. I know why the scene is there, but this is the only time that I didn't want the animals to be there. The sharks, I can't be the only one to think that the sharks got the bad CGI treatment in this film. All the other action scenes worked for me as they tried not to be like each other. And outside the arena fights, the final confrontation between Lucius and Macrinus with both armies as spectators was done very well. Paul Mescal did a great job as Lucius, as this is a character who has some similarities to Russell Crowe's Maximus. He is another man that is wronged by Rome and has that chance to take revenge or try and fight for a greater cause. This movie does directly deal with citizen uprisings in the city and the ruling body being in chaos, and Lucius manages to change from the rage-fueled gladiator to the warrior trying to help Rome do better. I'm not a big Pedro Pascal fan, and I was very skeptical of him being in this movie, but he was surprisingly great. His character was great, and General Cassius, that's his character's name, had a tragic but well-done death scene. But my favorite character, I think, has to go to Denzel Washington as Macrinus. This character is introduced as a wealthy Roman who loves the arena games and trains gladiators, but as the movie continues, we start to see how he is using his connections with the upper class to make his way up to almost becoming emperor, all as part of his revenge against his enslavement under Marcus Aurelius from years ago and his personal drive for power. I did not expect Macrinus to be the main villain of the movie, as we have two emperors to start with, but when it happened, it didn't surprise me. As I thought about it more, it's like, okay, this makes sense. The one problem I have with the characters, though, is that I think they could have given Senator Gracchus a more important and more dramatic death, because he was a pretty major character in the first film, and in this movie he's there for a little bit, but then he just gets killed off, which they should have handled that better. I don't think they handled that well at all. And one final thing I'd like to talk about here is that director Ridley Scott has mentioned that one of his original ideas for Gladiator II was to begin the movie in the underworld, where we see Maximus wandering through the underworld next to the river Styx. And even though that doesn't happen in this movie, and Maximus is not in the movie at all, there are different scenes with Lucius in the underworld. And one of them, we see, he's never named, but we see the boatman, the ferryman, Karen, as he takes Lucius's recently killed wife into the underworld. And this was, I think, a really good way to include even a pretty kind of a minor supernatural figure, because he's never named, but if you know the mythology, you know what's going on. At this point, it is hard to say whether or not Gladiator II will help usher in the next set of films set in the ancient world. As for me, I am excited that this is the first ancient world epic that we've had in a long time. And I think that what Ridley Scott was able to do with the characters, how he was able to continue the story of the first film, but also introduce new stories and new characters with this movie, with some very good performances and some great action, helped this movie be its own film without having to be directly reliant on the original film. With that being said, Gladiator II gets an 8 out of 10. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Movies with Michael. If you enjoyed this review video, you can show it by leaving a like on this video and comment down below what you think about this movie or TV series. Did you love it, did you hate it, or was it right there in between? You can tell me all that down below in the comments section. And please remember to subscribe to this channel and click the notification icon to be notified about my latest videos. That's all for now, and I'll see you all next time.